It all began with a single red moon, a harbinger of a world swallowed by fire. After 1,000 years of war, humanity finally won, but he was the only one left to see it. His comrades, his friends, his sister, everyone he ever knew, was gone. He screams into the void, questioning the cost of this victory. The root of all this calamity, the Demon King, Sirius Patrick looking surprisingly chatty for a final boss, he mocks the lone survivor's efforts. The Demon King names him Xavier Benedict. But Xavier has had enough of this monologue. He lunges forward with everything he has left. The Demon King just smiles, promising a sequel. A final desperate strike connects. The Demon King's form is torn asunder, but something remains in his place. A swirling vortex of dark energy, the Demon King's core, the source of his power. Xavier knows he must destroy it for good, but the core's power lashes out, a final trap. He's alone with no one left to shield him. He curses his own limitations. If only he had magic, a talent he never possessed. It's too late for regrets now. The hero of humanity, Xavier Benedict, died alone on a field of victory. His final thought is one of deep regret. A single flower blooms from the ashes, and then everything fades to white. But death is not the end. It's a new beginning. A familiar consciousness stirs, wondering why he's still alive. He opens his eyes to a gentle, loving face, and to a new family, the Benedict family. He recognizes them instantly. His own mother and father. He's been reborn 26 years in the past. The realization hits him, and the hero begins to cry. With his memories intact, Xavier begins training immediately. His only goal is to hold a sword once more, to surpass his limits and become the strongest. At just 3 years old, his resolve is already forged in steel. His mother worries about him overdoing it, but his father sees the spark of a future legend. Though his tiny hands aren't quite up to the task yet, the wooden sword flies from his grasp and gets stuck high up in a tree. Dad finds this hilarious, of course. Undeterred, Xavier runs to retrieve it, but his small body can't reach it. He refuses to let this second chance go to waste. This regression cannot be meaningless. He reaches out with a desperate will, and something answers his call. The sword flies back into his hand. His parents can only stare in disbelief. Xavier himself is stunned by what just happened. They declare him a magic genius, a first for their family. His mother embraces him, overcome with pride. He realizes he must have absorbed the Demon King's core, but his thoughts are interrupted by his doting father, who declares his son will be the strongest magic swordsman. 9 years have passed since he awakened his magic, and every single day is spent training relentlessly. 5,000 sword swings, rain or shine. He pushes his small body to the absolute limit, nearing the final swing with a determined roar, because he knows the Demon King is still out there waiting. Xavier Benedict, now 12 years old, the sight of that apocalyptic battlefield is burned into his mind. He channels that memory into a single vow, to kill the Demon King no matter the cost. He unleashes a final powerful strike. A wave of energy tears through the forest, slicing a massive tree clean in two. His belief is now engraved into his very sword. The blade lands perfectly in the ground. He catches his breath, wondering what's next on the agenda. Time to hit the books after all that physical labor. He's kept his magic a secret from everyone but his family, studying alone in the depths of the forest. After mastering beginner water magic, he's trying advanced fire today. He chants the incantation, gathering a ball of flame. Just a small test to see what it can do. The spell erupts with overwhelming force. A beam of fire shoots across the landscape and carves a massive crater into a cliffside. Xavier is left completely stunned by the blast. He can't believe the power gap between beginner and intermediate magic, but his shock quickly turns into a confident smirk. Yeah, this will definitely come in handy. He suddenly realizes how late it's gotten. After a long day of training, Xavier heads into town. His thoughts drift to the useless nobles of his past life. Specifically, the cowardly Count Jim Klaus and his butler. It was because of fools like them that humanity suffered so much. As if on cue, a commotion breaks out nearby. A horse kicks over a barrel of apples. The merchant and his wife can only watch in horror. A knight on horseback yells at the man to get out of his way. He even strikes the poor merchant with his whip. The man falls to the ground, clutching his shoulder in pain, and Xavier watches, a familiar anger beginning to boil. Just then, a grand procession makes its way down the street. Leading the charge is a young blue-haired boy. This is Ion Klaus, the 10-year-old son of the Count, and he looks like a real piece of work. His eyes scan the crowd looking for some entertainment. He quickly finds his target, a young girl and her mother. The noble boy dismounts and approaches their bakery stall. Xavier watches from a distance, sensing trouble. Ion picks up a loaf of bread, feigning politeness. The terrified mother insists he take it for free, but Ion makes a show of paying, tossing down several gold coins. He demands change for the absurdly large payment. The mother panics, unable to make change for such a sum. Then the boy reveals his true, disgusting intentions. He offers to forget the change if the little girl plays with him. The onlookers are horrified but too afraid to intervene. But Xavier has seen enough. He pulls up his hood. He's ready to give this kid an education on his parents' behalf. A spectral aura of a lion erupts behind him. He prepares to step in and stop this injustice. He decides to use his secret magic to intervene. With a burst of speed, he leaps between the rooftops and lands silently on a nearby building. He's found the perfect vantage point to deliver his lesson. From the shadows, he begins to conjure a water spell. Down below, Ion Klaus continues to taunt the terrified girl. He reaches out a hand, claiming he's no common thug. The mother and daughter can only recoil in fear, but his hand is suddenly stopped by a stream of water. The noble boy is stunned by the unexpected splash and is quickly engulfed in a sphere of water. His personal guards can only cry out in shock. The sphere lifts him high into the air, out of their reach. He struggles for air, a very undignified look for a noble. The little girl looks up, safe for the moment. Her eyes find the mysterious figure on the rooftop. It's Xavier, calmly controlling the floating prison. The mother quickly pulls her daughter away, hoping to be forgotten. Xavier looks down, unimpressed by the boy's weakness. But then his eyes catch a new movement in the crowd. The guards are pushed aside as someone approaches. An old man with a staff and glowing eyes appears. He raises his staff, aiming it at Xavier's spell. With a flash of light, the water sphere shatters. Ion Klaus falls from the sky, caught by his guards. But the water doesn't just disperse. The old mage takes control of it, his power evident. He slams his staff into the ground and unleashes a powerful aura, completely overwhelming the spell. Xavier can only watch from the rooftop, utterly shocked. Xavier watches as the old mage takes center stage. This man is clearly on another level. His glowing eyes seem to pierce the very air, and they lock directly onto Xavier's hiding spot. Down below, Ion Klaus is having a royal tantrum. He shoves his own guards away in a fit of rage and turns his fury on the innocent mother and daughter. He accuses them of the attack, threatening them with prison. When they deny it, he decides to punish the little girl himself. He throws a punch ready to strike a child. What a hero. But his hand is caught by the old mage, who reminds him of his noble dignity or lack thereof. The mere mention of his father is enough to terrify the boy. With the drama over, the crowd begins to disperse. The mage tells Ion it's time to leave, and the procession continues on its way. But Ion leaves with a promise of future revenge. Later that evening, the Benedict family enjoys a meal together. Xavier eats with the appetite of a boy who trains all day. His parents discuss the day's events in town. His father laughs about the attack on the noble brat, and his sister, Helena, excitedly mentions the culprit was a water mage. She looks right at Xavier, who nearly chokes on his food. He quickly denies everything, claiming he was in the forest. Meanwhile, his mother scolds Helena for studying at the table. She firmly closes the book, insisting on family time. Helena pouts, finding her schoolwork a bore. The parents sigh, dreading the upcoming tax collection. But for now, it's a peaceful family dinner. His father offers a friendly spar, but Xavier isn't interested. Xavier announces he's off to study. He throws a little jab at his dad for only training his mind. His father is left speechless while his mother finds it hilarious. Just then, Helena asks to study with her big brother. Xavier gently reminds her of her own important path, to become a great healer who can patch him up someday. Fired up, she promises to do her best for him. He recalls her incredible talent for magical medicine. In his past life, she became a grand apothecary at just 16, but her life was cut tragically short by a demon attack. She died just before creating a cure for a deadly virus, a plague that then wiped out a third of their people. Xavier hardens his resolve, vowing to protect her this time. Meanwhile, in a much less loving household, Jan Klaus gets a harsh lesson from his father's hand. The boy is stunned, questioning why he was struck. Count Klaus scolds him for disrespecting their powerful mage. Ion can't believe he's being punished for a mere bodyguard. His father calls him a hopeless disgrace to the family name. He lectures the boy on the true source of a noble's power. It's not privilege, but military might. He explains that their mage is worth more than all their guards, a guardian deity for their family, while a son, he coldly states, is entirely replaceable. The cruel words leave Ion utterly broken. He flees the room in tears as the butler watches him go. The count simply tells his man to let the boy reflect. Ion storms through the streets, fuming over his father's words. He pins all the blame on the mysterious magician and swears that he will make him pay for this humiliation. He's suddenly approached by the little girl from the bakery. She offers him a basket of fruit as thanks and reveals that she knows he's the mysterious magician. She promises to keep his secret if he'll show her his amazing abilities. Xavier is stunned, trying to play dumb, but he realizes there's no fooling Cecily Stella. He remembers her from his past life, his childhood friend, a brilliant swordswoman who fought by his side and who died just before the final battle. Back in the present, Cecily gives him a playful wink. Xavier finds himself completely weak to her charm. He agrees and the two head out of town. Elsewhere, under the pale moonlight, Ion Klaus is still having his tantrum. He takes his frustration out on an innocent tree and immediately regrets his life choices. He seethes, convinced his father is wrong about everything, but his angry monologue is cut short. He realizes he's wandered deep into the woods and that he's no longer alone. A monstrous shadow descends from the sky. The beast crashes down, shaking the very ground, and the noble brat can only scream in terror. He's sent flying by a powerful blow. Landing hard in the dirt, his bravado is gone. He looks up into the single glowing eye of a magic beast. The creature's massive tongue lashes out. Ion scrambles backward, begging for his life. But just as the beast strikes, a hand yanks him to safety. Ion can only stare, wondering who just saved him. It's Xavier, and he's not letting this thing get away. He wonders why a creature like this is so far from its territory. A chilling thought crosses his mind. The war is starting early. But there's no time for theories now. The monster lunges forward with incredible force. Its massive claw aims to crush him in a single blow. But Xavier is far too quick for that. He dodges and weaves a deadly dance with the beast. Its attacks are a blur of claws and fury. He realizes a normal sword is useless against its tough hide. His years of training are the only thing keeping him alive. He slides back, barely avoiding a devastating swipe. From the sidelines, Cecily and Ion can only watch in awe. He knows he needs to use magic, but the noble brat is still here. He trusts Cecily, but can't risk Ion discovering his secret. And even with magic, he's not sure he can win. He questions his 12 years of training if he can't beat this. No, he won't use magic. He doesn't need it for a beast like this. He's fought countless battles in his past life. This is just one more monster to slay. He ducks under a wild swing and channels all his focus into his blade. He declares that he will never lose to the likes of it. With a final, powerful upward slash, his sword finds its mark. The magic beast collapses, its reign of terror over. Aeon can't believe what he just saw. He actually defeated it. Xavier plants his sword in the ground and finally allows himself to catch his breath. Cecily rushes to his side, calling his name in panic. He reassures her that he's just a little tired. He looks at her with a fierce resolve, vowing to protect everyone this time. But their moment is cut short by a tremor from the fallen beast. And Ion screams for them to look behind them. The magic beast rises once more, seemingly back from the dead. Its fatal wounds are healing at an impossible rate. Xavier can't believe his eyes. This shouldn't be possible. Ion, for once in his life, does something useful and tells her to run. But Cecily refuses to leave Xavier behind. He yells at her to go, insisting she'll only be in the way. His harsh words hit their mark, leaving her stunned. She finally turns to flee as Xavier prepares for round 2. Ion grabs her hand, pulling her to safety. He urges her to hurry and call for help. She knows he's right. They'll only hold him back. The beast brings its massive claw down on Xavier. Its arm morphs into a deadly blade as it attacks. The creature seems to be mocking him. But Xavier meets the blow head-on, declaring it his opponent. The monster recoils, surprised by his strength. He unleashes another powerful slash across its chest. He doesn't care how many times it revives, he'll kill it again. He decides to lure it away and finish it with magic. With a burst of speed, he dashes into the forest. He leaps through the trees, putting distance between them. But the beast is right on his tail, making escape difficult. It whips its massive tail, aiming to crush him. The attack tears through the forest floor. Xavier realizes he's in a very bad spot. He knows he's outmatched, on the verge of being crushed. The beast's claw descends with overwhelming force. But Xavier holds his ground, refusing to yield an inch. He realizes the monster is even stronger than before. The impact sends his sword flying from his grasp and throws him back against a tree with brutal force. But even battered and bruised, he will not give up. The monster roars, ready to deliver the final blow. So Xavier resorts to a time-honored technique, throwing a handful of dirt right in its face. The classic pocket sand gambit actually works. But he knows this won't be enough to win. He hopes Cecily and Ion have made it back to town, because if he dies here, keeping his secret won't matter. A new resolve hardens in his eyes. He plants his feet, preparing for his final stand, only to realize he's run himself to the edge of a cliff. With the beast charging, there's nowhere left to go. It's time to break his rule and use his magic. He gathers a small ball of fire in his hand and unleashes it with everything he has left. The spell streaks through the air like a meteor and slams directly into the monster's face. The resulting explosion is absolutely massive. Xavier watches, hoping it's finally over. A triumphant smile spreads across his face. He did it. But his celebration is a little premature. The blast destabilized the cliff beneath his feet, and the ground gives way, sending him plummeting. He falls into the abyss, his second chance slipping away. As he plummets, he can only think that this is an incredibly cruel twist of fate. But he absolutely refuses to die here. A massive magic circle erupts around him in midair, and a brilliant pillar of light shoots into the night sky. Down below, Cecily and Ion can only stare in shock. The noble brat is, understandably, losing his mind. While Cecily cries out Xavier's name in terror, she can only pray that he'll somehow be safe. Meanwhile, Xavier's mind is thrown back in time, to a familiar bloody battlefield from his past life. He sees a glowing version of his older self, watching over the chaos from above. The hero looks down with a somber expression. The memory is a whirlwind of destruction, and the faces of his fallen comrades, a vision of the endless, brutal war against the demons. His past self wonders if his life is flashing before his eyes. He accepts his fate as his consciousness begins to fade. His thoughts drift to his life's only purpose. The 20 long years he sacrificed for this war, he remembers praying desperately for a second chance, a chance he refuses to let go of now. Back in the present, his fall is finally broken. He lands with a crash in a deep crater, battered and bruised, but somehow in one piece. He opens his eyes, shocked to still be breathing. He sits up, trying to figure out where he is. A sudden jolt of pain shoots through his body. He looks down and panics, seeing a cloaked figure by his leg. His eyes widen in utter confusion. He remembers falling, so why is there a ceiling above him? He looks around, completely lost in this strange cavern. A loud growl from his stomach brings him back to reality. He clutches his midsection, the hunger becoming unbearable. He desperately wonders if there's anything to eat. His gaze then falls upon the only other occupant of the crater, the massive corpse of the magic beast. He immediately recoils, horrified at the very thought. 3 long days pass with no sign of rescue. Weak and delirious, Xavier feels his life slipping away. His eyes drift back to his only potential meal. He knows that eating monster meat could be a death sentence, but with no other options, he has to take the risk. He slowly crawls toward the massive creature. His hand touches its cold, tough hide. With grim determination, he prepares for the worst. He can't believe a monster is about to be his salvation. He takes a desperate, tearful bite, and for a moment there is only silence. Then, a primal hunger completely takes over. He tears into the flesh with savage abandon. All thoughts of dignity are long gone. He'll do whatever it takes to survive this ordeal, because he absolutely refuses to die in a hole. Afterwards, he lies on the ground completely stuffed. He fashions a makeshift crutch from a sturdy branch. He's lost track of time, unsure how long he's been trapped. His body is still weak and he quickly collapses, but he forces himself back up, ready to find a way out. He forces himself onward using the branch as a crutch. He wonders if his family will ever find him down here, but he knows he can only rely on himself now. Suddenly, a strange energy fills the air around him. A mysterious voice pierces the silence, asking if his injured leg is causing him pain. Xavier calls out, demanding to know who's there. The voice warns him that without treatment, he will die. It offers to heal him if he just comes a little closer, and claims to be his only way out of this abyss. Xavier realizes he's in a place teeming with magic and beasts. The voice grows impatient, urging him to hurry. Our boy is not a fan of being rushed, apparently, but with no other choice, he follows the guiding light. Each step is a struggle against his own body. He pushes through the exhaustion, panting for breath, until he's blinded by an overwhelming golden glow. Before him stands a radiant feminine figure. His eyes widen, reflecting the divine light. It's a massive, crumbling statue of a goddess. She introduces herself as Erd, one of the three fates. Xavier is stunned to learn that gods are real. The goddess raises a hand, preparing to act. A ring of healing energy shoots toward his leg. In an instant, the wound is completely gone. As he stares in shock, her form begins to change. The stone gives way to a beautiful, green-haired woman. Xavier immediately questions why a god doesn't know his name. She snaps back that her specialty is combat, not trivia. So much for being all-powerful, he thinks to himself. She explains that the World Tree has fallen ill for reasons unknown, and she's not exactly thrilled about her current living situation. She asks if he's following, and Xavier confirms he knows the legend. He recalls the tale of the great tree that connects all realms. Pleased, she finally asks his name, though he's already decided she's unreliable. The goddess then gets uncomfortably close, proposing a deal. She offers to lend him her power if he investigates the tree's sickness. Xavier is rightly suspicious of this seemingly generous offer. She explains that a magic swordsman like him is a rare find she can't pass up. She also reveals she knows he's hiding his true abilities from everyone. But her main reason is simple. She's been trapped for 26 years and is bored out of her mind. The number 26 hits Xavier hard, the exact age he was when he died. Erd casually confirms that this is in fact his second life. She then points out the deep resentment and despair clinging to his soul, warning him that it will interfere with her power. She brushes off his shock, saying reading souls is easy. He can only ask why. He finally unleashes his rage, demanding to know why the gods abandoned humanity. Erd calmly explains that gods are just another race, not saviors. She advises him to rely on his own strength, not hope for divine intervention, and that a mind focused only on revenge will never truly grow strong. She tells him to leave and consider her words carefully. With that, she begins to gather a sphere of brilliant energy. She explains she's infusing it with the basics of her power. Xavier listens, his expression unreadable in the shadows. She tells him his arrival was fated, and mastering this power will reveal the truth. Her hand reaches out to a massive glowing root. A portal of light forms within the ancient wood. She tells him it's time to go, and he agrees. He takes a final look back as a flash of green light erupts behind him. He turns and walks toward the portal, ready to return. He steps into the swirling portal of light and emerges back into the bright blue sky. Finding himself in a vast mountainous forest, a glowing exit appears in the trunk of a massive tree. The portal pulses with a brilliant golden light and unceremoniously spits Xavier out. He makes a perfect landing right on his face, but he's just relieved to finally be out of that hole. He gets to his feet, wondering where he's ended up. He hears a noise and immediately tenses up, but it's the distant sound of someone crying for help. Suddenly, Erd's voice echoes in his mind. He's stunned, demanding to know where she is. She explains it's just a pre-recorded message, divine voicemail, basically. She tells him to use her power to climb the tree and help. With a sigh, Xavier reluctantly agrees. He focuses the new energy into his legs and launches himself upward with incredible power. He bounds up the side of the tree in a blur of motion. landing firmly on a high branch. He can't believe how easy that was. This new divine power makes him feel weightless. The voice confirms his body and senses are now enhanced. Just then, he hears the cry for help once more. He scans the vast forest from his new vantage point. His enhanced vision quickly finds the source of the trouble. 3 thugs are cornering a terrified little girl. Xavier smirks, seeing the perfect test for his new abilities. He leaps through the trees with newfound grace and lands silently, ready to deliver some divine justice. He decides to take out the biggest one first. The burly thug turns, sensing the attack, and gets a divinely powered foot right to the face. The other 2 can only stare in utter shock. Xavier calmly picks up a nearby rock and throws it with pinpoint accuracy. The projectile finds its mark with a sickening thud. He checks on the girl as the thug reels in pain. The leader finally finds his voice, demanding to know who he is. Xavier stands before them, a protector for the weak. The thugs are furious, vowing to make him pay. Their eyes burn with a desire for revenge. They charge forward, ready to overwhelm the boy, but Xavier just smirks, completely unimpressed. The leader swings his massive blade, only to find his target has vanished. Xavier reappears in a blur of motion and delivers a powerful blow to the second thug. The man's sword is sent flying into a tree, a sword which Xavier promptly catches. He closes the distance in an instant. The leader's bravado completely evaporates as a cold blade is pressed against his throat. Xavier orders him to drop everything of value. The thug's sword clatters to the ground. He begs for his life, but Xavier isn't the one to ask. The man tosses a pouch of coins before the little girl. He pleads, claiming he has a family to feed. A classic. But Xavier's eyes glow with cold fury. He moves in a flash, ending the confrontation for good. With a flash of steel, he moves to end this, and brings the thug down hard, disabling him. The man cries out in pain, vowing revenge as Xavier walks away. Our boy gives him a look that could curdle milk, and the thug immediately understands he should shut up. With the threat neutralized, Xavier picks up the pouch. He's pleased to have some travel money now, though he admits this felt more like mugging than rescuing. He then remembers the terrified girl cowering nearby. He reaches out a gentle hand to her and reassures her that the danger has passed. He offers to take her home, a warm smile on his face. The girl looks up, her fear slowly fading, and she cautiously takes his hand. Suddenly, a warm green light envelops them both. A soothing energy flows from her into him. Xavier is stunned as the pain from his previous battles fades away. He realizes with a shock, this girl is a healer. She looks up at him, asking if he's okay. Xavier knows that healers are an incredibly rare and precious resource. He quickly deduces that 3 thugs would be too few for such a prize. There must be more of them nearby, and right on cue, he hears voices approaching. He grabs her hand, telling her they have to go now. He can't let such a valuable person fall into the wrong hands. The 2 of them dash through the forest, weaving through the dense trees to escape. They find a stream, hoping to cover their tracks. Xavier uses a bit of magic to erase any trace of their passing. They finally emerge into a clearing as night begins to fall. He introduces himself with a friendly smile, Xavier Benedict. The girl returns the gesture, naming herself Tifa Roman. The name Roman immediately rings a bell for Xavier. He connects the dots, her name, her healing abilities, and a memory of a silver-haired comrade flashes in his mind. He asks if she has an older brother, which she confirms, confused. Xavier can't believe the irony. He's found his friend's long-lost sister. A flashback takes him to a quiet night by a campfire with his old friend. The man, Sharon, wondered aloud if his sister Tefana was safe, and Xavier's past self had promised to find her, no matter what. Back in the present, he gently pats the young girl's head. He vows to get her home, fulfilling a promise made a lifetime ago. As night falls, the 2 of them rest under the watchful eye of an owl. While Tifa sleeps, Xavier keeps guard, his mind racing. He calls out to the goddess Urd, who answers from within his mind. He asks her to teach him how to properly use this new divine power. Urd agrees, telling him to start with the dagger he liberated from the thugs. The lesson begins under the moonlit forest canopy. She explains the dagger is a medium for controlling magical power. He must focus his consciousness and channel magic into the blade. Urd introduces a special technique, a shadow attribute skill called Shadow Sting. It's a move that relies on precision, not raw power. She tells him to test it out on a nearby tree. Xavier's eyes narrow with intense concentration. He lunges forward, the dagger glowing with a faint blue light, and thrusts the blade deep into the tree's trunk. The energy gathers at the tip of the steel, building into a focused point of destructive force. It erupts in a massive blast, shredding the tree from the inside out. Xavier can only stare, stunned by the power he just unleashed. The explosion wakes Tifa, who sleepily asks what's happening. But Xavier's enhanced senses are already screaming a warning. Tifa looks on, confused by his sudden tension. He quickly scoops her into his arms, telling her to be quiet. His eyes scan the trees, looking for a safe place to hide. Using his new divine power, he leaps up the massive trunk and lands silently on a high branch, far from the forest floor. He gently sets her down, ordering her to hide her presence. The two of them peer down from the shadows, just in time to see 5 figures emerge into the clearing below. He notes that this new group looks much tougher than the last. The original thugs are there too, now with their much scarier backup. One of them points to the remains of Xavier's target practice. They realize the noise and destruction were caused by a person. From above, Xavier smirks, impressed by their perception. The leader of the new group deduces that the kidnapper is still close. He kneels, placing a hand on the forest floor. He can feel the healer's presence and the lingering heat from the spell. Even Xavier is shocked by his incredible detection skills. The leader orders one of his men to find them. The man grins with a sinister look, and Xavier knows this is bad. The tracker begins to conjure a spell of his own. A ball of golden light forms in his hand, a magical compass. He unleashes the spell, sending it out to search the area. The light zips straight toward their hiding spot. They've been found. Xavier's expression hardens. He knows these guys are stronger, but compared to the demons of his past life, they're nothing. The tracker's golden light hovers just below their branch. It then shoots upward, homing in on their location. The tracker grins maniacally, pointing them out to his boss. The leader orders a man named Bob to investigate. The brutish thug eagerly accepts, ready for a fight. Xavier smirks, noting their amateur move of splitting up. Down below, Bob taunts his hidden prey at the base of a tree. He swings his massive axe, demanding they show themselves, and brings the blade down with incredible force. But he's not attacking the tree they're actually in. He continues to hack away, growing more frustrated. From the real hiding spot, Xavier grins. It's all going according to plan. A quick flashback reveals he saw the tracking magic coming, and he knew just the trick to counter it. He explains that simple water magic can easily disrupt a basic tracking spell. By covering a different tree in a magical signature, he set the perfect trap. A helpful diagram shows his genius decoy plan in action. He's very proud. He decides to take out the thug before his ruse is discovered. The water magic on the decoy tree suddenly erupts and swirls into a vortex above the confused thug. Xavier decides to reuse the technique that worked so well on the noble brat. It's time to test this thug's true strength. The water crashes down, completely engulfing him. The thug can only stare in utter disbelief. He's trapped in a swirling sphere, unable to breathe or move. Xavier looks on, unimpressed by the man's weakness. He draws his sword, ready to end this quickly. He leaps down from the branch in a blur of motion and slices clean through the water prison. The spell shatters, sending the thug flying. Back in the clearing, the leader senses something is wrong. The rest of the group notes the sudden silence from their scout. The leader realizes their opponent is a mage, and Bob is in serious trouble. He orders his men to go check it out. The remaining thugs rush toward their comrade's last known location. They arrive to find a strange puddle of water at the base of a tree. But their friend Bob is nowhere in sight. The leader's expression darkens with suspicion. They question the presence of so much water in the forest. One of them notes that it hasn't rained in days. He kneels down, finding the whole situation very strange, and dips a single finger into the mysterious liquid. A jolt of energy suddenly courses through his body. His comrades can only watch in horror as he collapses. The leader realizes too late. The water is a trap. Just then, a projectile flies through the air. A warning cry goes up as more rocks rain down on them. One of the thugs manages to kick a rock away, but they're clearly being overwhelmed from multiple directions. The leader has had enough. gathering a ball of light. He unleashes a powerful beam of energy and blasts the projectiles out of the sky. He deduces they're facing multiple opponents, or just one very fast kid. From the shadows, Xavier realizes he's up against a fire mage. The leader wisely decides against splitting up his forces, but Xavier knows it's already too late for them. With their tracker out of commission, the remaining thugs are completely lost. The leader decides on a simple if unsubtle solution. He gathers a massive ball of fire in his hand and threatens to burn the entire forest to the ground. But his dramatic monologue is cut short by a sound as Xavier casually steps out with a friendly wave. He tries to play it off, claiming he's just an innocent kid. The thugs can't believe a child took out their friend. The leader demands to know where his accomplices are. Xavier offers a deal, his freedom for their location. The leader is impressed, even offering him a job. A terrible career choice, really. But Xavier politely declines, which doesn't go over well. The leader's patience runs out, and he attacks with a blast of fire. But Xavier casually deflects the spell with one hand. The fireball sails harmlessly into the night. The fire mage can only stare in disbelief. Xavier uses his new speed to close the distance on the other two. He decides to deal with the fire mage's backup first, trapping them in a familiar sphere of water. The leader watches as his men are easily neutralized. Enraged, he gathers another, much larger fireball and launches it directly at his own captured men. The fire and water collide in a massive explosion. Xavier notes the predictable temper of a fire mage. The two thugs are caught in the blast, completely stunned. A classic case of friendly fire. They're sent flying, knocked out of the fight for good. Xavier sarcastically congratulates the leader on his brilliant strategy. The man is absolutely furious, vowing to end this now. He throws a powerful, flame-wreathed punch, but Xavier meets the blow head-on, stopping it cold. He holds his ground, completely unfazed by the attack. With a quick leap, he dodges back to create some space, and picks up a sword dropped by one of the fallen thugs. He stands ready, now armed for a real fight. The leader finally realizes he's not facing a simple mage. Xavier's blade glows as he declares this man won't be leaving alive. The leader grins, impressed by the boy's dual talents. He lunges forward with a flame-wreathed fist. But Xavier meets the attack with a blast of water. The two elements collide in a cloud of steam. The fire mage can't believe his spell was just erased. Xavier closes the distance, his blade a silver blur. The sword stops just inches from the man's throat. A brilliant flash erupts from the point of impact. The leader blocks the strike with a flaming gauntlet. The sheer force of the parry sends Xavier flying back. His hand is left numb from the powerful counter. The man realizes this kid fights like a seasoned veteran. He decides he's had enough of this little farce and slams a condensed ball of fire into the ground. Xavier's eyes widen, sensing the overwhelming power. The leader unleashes the full force of his spell. A massive wave of fire tears through the forest. But Xavier stands his ground, gathering his own magic. He unleashes a tidal wave of water to meet the flames. The two spells clash in a spectacular explosion. The leader stands amidst the smoke, searching for his foe. He smirks, assuming the boy was caught in the blast. But his victory speech is cut short by a presence behind him. A blade, glowing with power, slices through the air and finds its mark piercing the man's chest. The leader can only look down in utter disbelief. He collapses to his knees, his life fading away. Xavier stands over him, his expression cold and unforgiving. He declares this is the fate of all who prey on the weak. High above, Tifa continues to pray for her rescuer's safety. Xavier lands back on the branch beside a startled Tifa. He smiles, telling her the threat has been neutralized. Tifa can only stare, completely amazed by his power. He brushes it off, saying they need to leave quickly. She fervently promises to keep his secret safe. Xavier gives her a reassuring pat on the head. He promises that she has nothing to fear from him. Her trust in him is now absolute. With the battle over, they leave the thugs to their naps. Xavier leads the way through the moonlit forest. He confirms that only the leader met a permanent end, but he knows they can't afford to linger here. Suddenly, his body gives out from exhaustion, and he makes a less than graceful landing on his face. Tifa cries out his name in alarm. Sometime later, they arrive at a peaceful village, where a woman asks if their young guest is awake yet. A silver-haired man named Charlin Roman says he'll check. The woman reminds Tefana to thank her savior properly. Charlene approaches a small house where his sister is working. He gently scolds her for not resting, but she insists on helping, running to his side. He reminds her of the danger of leaving the village alone. Tifa looks down, promising to be more careful. As they walk, Charlene asks about the kid who saved her. He peers into the room where Xavier is resting, only to be met by a hand lunging from the darkness. Charlene is completely caught off guard by the sudden attack. Tifa screams, recognizing her new big brother. Xavier has him pinned, threatening him with a piece of candy. With the misunderstanding cleared up, it's finally time for a meal. And Xavier eats like he hasn't seen food in a decade. Charlene smiles, telling him to take his time, while Tifa is just stunned by his massive appetite. He pats his very full, very round stomach. Finally, a real meal after days of surviving in the wild. With the boy fed, Charlene begins to ask some questions. Xavier explains he's from a town near Bone Castle and his parents must be worried. Charlene is shocked, realizing that's a 3-day journey on horseback. Xavier can only say that it's a very long story. He recounts everything that happened, from the beast to the fall. Charlene is horrified to learn of magic beasts so close to town. Xavier warns him that it's best to be prepared for the worst. Taking the warning to heart, Charlene decides to take Xavier home. He urges them to pack quickly, worried for Xavier's family. Xavier is surprised, asking if he's really coming with him. Charlene insists he can't let a little kid travel alone. Tifa proudly chimes in that her new friend is super strong, but Charlene gently reminds her that children should still rely on adults. With that settled, Tifa asks if she can come along too. Charlene agrees, saying he won't let her out of his sight again. She cheers, excited to be going on a trip. He tries to correct her, but she just sees the danger as a fun extra. Xavier recalls how his friend was always reliable, even more so after losing his sister. Tifa happily runs off to get her things ready for the journey. The sight of his friends, alive and well, brings tears to Xavier's eyes. He's just so grateful to have this second chance with them. Charlene notices his tears and places a hand on his shoulder. He tells Xavier that real men don't cry, getting a sarcastic retort in return. But inside, Xavier's resolve is stronger than ever, to protect this peace at any cost. The next day, their journey begins. With Charlene leading the way, the kids enjoy the ride. But they're stopped by a familiar face from the village. It's the village chief, Karen, here to see them off. Charlene thanks him for his kindness, but the chief insists they're family. With a final wave, the trio sets off on their adventure. The old man can only offer a prayer for their safe travels. A narrator hints that none of them knew what fate had in store. Oh good, ominous foreshadowing. My favorite. Along the way, Tifa decides Xavier needs a new look. A moment of peace for 3 friends who would one day fight side by side. As night falls, they make camp by a roaring fire. Unbeknownst to them, this is the start of their path as comrades. After a long journey, Xavier sees a familiar sight. They've finally arrived at Carpen Castle. Tifa is just thrilled to be sleeping in a real bed again. And Xavier finally lays eyes on his childhood home. Meanwhile, his mother sits outside, overcome with grief. His father finds her, his own worry etched on his face. He gently places a hand on her shoulder and tells her to rest while he continues the search. But she refuses to stay behind, desperate to find her son. He tries to reason with her, promising he'll bring Xavier home. Her hope begins to fade, her face hidden in shadow. She finally asks the question they've both been dreading. Her husband is stunned by her despair. He pulls her into a tight embrace and reminds her of their son's incredible strength. But she breaks down, crying that the search has yielded nothing. He holds her close, insisting that no news is good news. From the doorway, little Helena watches her parents' pain. Her little heart breaks, whispering her brother's name. Meanwhile, in a much less loving home, a different kind of family drama is unfolding. Ion Klaus falls to his knees before his father. He begs the Count to send a search party for Xavier. His father just scoffs, completely unmoved. He questions the value of saving some commoner brat. Father of the year, right here. But Ion insists that boy is the one who saved his life. The Count's cold eyes show he couldn't care less. He asks if his son would really kneel for a commoner. He grabs Ion by the collar, his patience wearing thin, and reminds him of their noble status. He declares there are only nobles, and those who exist to feed them. With a violent shove, he sends his own son sprawling to the floor. He tells the boy to enjoy his privileges and simply do as he's told. But for the first time, Ion feels a deep unease. He's no longer sure what he truly wants. Defeated, he walks away from his father's cruelty. Back at the Romans' peaceful home, Tifa throws open the window to a brand new day. She smiles, happy to see such beautiful weather. Her eyes catch a pair of birds on a nearby branch. She watches the two of them nuzzling affectionately. Her brother Charlin comes to see what she's looking at. She excitedly points out the playing birds. He gently corrects her, explaining it's a bonding ritual called preening. Tifa watches them with a new understanding. Just then, Xavier enters, announcing a trip to the market. He cheerfully waves them off, insisting he'll go by himself.